Good evening. Welcome to the September 20th Clifton Park Town Board meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Teresa, if you would call the roll.
Councilwoman Flood. Here. Councilwoman Stander. Here. Councilman Morelli.
Here.
Councilwoman Wallowitz. Here. Supervisor Barry.
Here. Entertain a motion to approve town board meeting minutes of 9/7 and 9/13.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Wallowitz, second by Mr. Morelli. Discussion. Okay, Teresa.
Councilwoman Flood. Yes. Councilwoman Stander.
Yes.
Councilman Morelli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowitz.
Yes.
Supervisor Barry.
Yes, a couple of quick communications and announcements. Firstly, there was a conservation easement public hearing that was scheduled for this evening that has been withdrawn by the applicant, so that will not occur tonight. Not too late to sign up for Hazardous Waste Day, which is this coming Saturday, rain or shine. So please go to cliftonpark.org, and there's a tab on the right side of the home page that says hazardous waste. You can click on there and make an appointment or reserve a time. I think it was better said, reserve a time for Saturday. So you can do that right online, or you can come to Town Hall and do it here. I saw Pam out here in the vestibule helping a few folks this afternoon sign up, so you can do it in person as well. But still time and still room for folks to sign up for Hazardous Waste Day. Please take advantage of this great service. Also, just a quick reminder, our Community Action Fund, our annual grant program is applications are almost at that time. End of September, applications must be in by. So that gives you another 10 days. So please send in those applications for nonprofits. All of the money used for the program comes from donations of redeemable bottles and cans that we accept at the transfer station. There's no town funds that are used in those in the grant program. So you can find that application online at cliftonpark.org. If you have any questions about the program at all, please contact my office. Any other communications or announcements? Yes.
I just want to thank everybody that came out to the Groom's Tavern this weekend during Farm Fest. It was great attendance. It was so beautiful all weekend. They did get a lot of folks come through and look at the quilts, all the historical quilts, and they had a great tag sale. So I want to thank everybody for coming to that. And then I did talk to John Shearer, and that conference that he went to, he was actually the one who celebrated at the conference, and he had no idea. They all showed up, and they had little fake white mustaches just like him, and he was very excited, yes, and he won an award. I don't know the title of the award, but I do want to find out what the exact title was. But he was very excited about that, so they celebrated him at that conference that we sent him to for all his hard work. Yeah.
Thank you. When he came back, he said, I had a great time. I just didn't know it was going to be all about me. So yeah, it was well deserved. So John, his colleagues certainly made him feel very special during the event, which is nice. So and Farm Fest was very well attended. Farms were very busy yesterday. Great to see. Farm Fest is the unofficial or official kickoff to the fall season for our farms, but they're open right through the fall. So please get out there and support them as much as you can. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Morelli.
So we've been trying for over a year now to get the Youth Advisory Council off the ground. I believe the board passed that resolution actually during the pandemic, so well before my time. So this group the intent is to, for youth in our community, grades 9 through 12, to advocate, conduct activities, community engagement, those sort of things. They're going to have their first event this Saturday at the Common. It's going to be a volunteer recognition ceremony for those who are involved, who volunteered, which was a pretty large number, who volunteered during the pandemic. So it's going to be something that's totally student run. It's going to be their first event, so it's also going to be, quasi recruitment for them, but it's also going to be to recognize the plethora of volunteers throughout the community who really came out and did some great things during the pandemic. So that's at 4:30 this Saturday on the Common.
Very good. Okay. Alrighty, we'll move to our, we do have another public hearing that was scheduled for this evening. Teresa, if you could read the legal notice as it was printed in the Gazette.
Town of Clifton Park, County of Saratoga, State of New York, notice of public hearing regarding altering the boundaries of the Clifton Park Consolidated Hydric District Number 1 as a water supply district. Please take notice that the town board of the town of Clifton Park will conduct a public hearing on September 20th, 2021 at 7:05 p.m. in the Wood Memorial Meeting Room in the town office building located at 1 Town Hall Plaza, Town of Clifton Park, County of Saratoga, State of New York, to consider altering the boundaries of the water supply district known as Clifton Park Consolidated Hydric District Number 1 as follows. Proposed extensions. Number 3, Area A, Ballston Lake Water District, 47, 47 parcels on Route 146A, Ballston Lake Road, Shawver Road, Mill Road, Ashdown Road, and Main Street north and west of the existing Hydric District. Area B, McElroy Road, 6 parcels on McElroy Road adjacent to the south and west of the existing Hydric District. Area C, Route 146A, Tanner Road, 3 parcels on Route 146A and Tanner Road adjacent to and south end west of the existing Hydric District. Area D, US Route 9, Kins Road, Ushers Road, Commerce Drive, Synergy Park Drive, 19 parcels on US Route 9, Kins Road, Ushers Road, Commerce Drive, and Synergy Park Drive, adjacent to and south and east of the existing Hydric District. Area E, Brooms Road, Drums Road, 26 parcels on Brooms Road and Drums Road adjacent to and east and west of the existing Hydric District. Area F, Riverview Road, Sandbrook Edge, Clute Circle, 24 parcels on Riverview Road, Sandbrook Edge, and Clute Circle adjacent to and south and west of the existing Hydric District. Area G, Hubs Road, 1 parcel on Hubs Road adjacent to and north and west of the existing Hydric District. The special district assessments associated with the Clifton Park Consolidated Hydric District is 0.202615 per $1,000 of assessed value. Copies of proposed extension number 4 and associated maps and lists of specific properties to be included in the district extension are available at cliftonpark.org. And available through review at the town clerk's office during normal business hours. And this was inserted on September 9th in the Daily Gazette.
Very good. Thank you, Teresa. With that, we'll open the public hearing. I'd like to ask Don Austin from the Clifton Park Water Authority to just give us a little rundown of why this request is coming forward.
Okay, thank you. So the Consolidated Hydrant District collects funds to pay for repair, maintenance, replacement of fire hydrants within the district, as well as for the ability for us to pump water supply capacity to be able to feed enough water to fight a fire. So the reason why we do it as a hydrant district rather than just collecting those funds through the water rate, because there are properties within the town of Clifton Park that are within 500 feet of a fire hydrant, which is the criteria we use to determine whether you're in or out of the district. There are properties that are within that 500-foot range that receive the benefit of fire protection from those fire hydrants that aren't customers of Clifton Park Water Authority. So this way we capture those people who are receiving the benefit that aren't our customers. We haven't done extension, when was last time, 2014?
Yes.
We haven't done an extension since 14. Since that time, there's been some subdivisions that have gone in and water's been extended further out into the town. So we're now bringing those folks in, those properties into the district that are receiving the benefit in the district at this time.
Approximately how long has the hydrant district been in place?
It's been a long time.
It's just,
Okay, so essentially at the start of operations of the water source.
Anything else that we should know as we contemplate that?
I don't think so.
Any questions for Don while he's here? Any water questions?
Anything.
Please.
All right.
And we're looking forward to plans on Carlton Road.
Yeah, we're all over that.
Yeah. So, what's the status on that? I know you're looking into it a little further based on what's happened.
Yeah, we're gonna have an engineering firm take a look at that and figure out what the best plan of action is over there. It's a difficult spot, as you know, the water runs down the center of the road underneath that railroad bridge, so we just spent $40,000 to rebuild that road, so we'll have to look at whether it makes more sense to whether we can slip line that pipe, or whether we should dig it up and replace it again.
Is there any chance to bypass it?
Well, that's another potential option, is just to abandon that altogether. It is a 12-inch water main that runs through there, so it's a good-sized transmission main. Of course, when it was installed, there wasn't water main running up 146A to Main Street, so you do have new avenues for water to travel, so we'll look at all options to figure out what makes the most sense.
All right. Okay, John, would you like to comment
No, sir.
on this? Okay, very good. With that, we'll close the public hearing. Thanks for coming, Don. If we have any additional questions, we'll let you know.
Okay,
I appreciate it. Also tonight, we have a young man with us, Everett Noakes. How are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
Good. We have a resolution here in Everett's honor, and I'll ask Teresa to read that if she might.
Resolution number 221 of 2021, a resolution recognizing Everett Noakes as achieving the rank of Eagle Scout. Whereas the people of the town of Clifton Park, New York take immense pride in the accomplishments of its residents and recognize the valuable contributions of the Boy Scouts of America to our community and to our nation. And whereas Everett Noakes began his scouting career as a Cub Scout with Pack 45 and has proven himself to be an outstanding member of the Troop 42 of the Boy Scouts of America, having earned the rank of Eagle Scout. And whereas the rank of Eagle Scout is the highest award that a Boy Scout can earn, and to achieve this rank, Everett demonstrated leadership and completed his Eagle Scout project, which benefited the community. And whereas Everett's Eagle Scout project was to make improvements to the Locust Lane Park, and whereas Everett's Eagle Scout project involved a team of volunteers who installed a 300-foot rope fence, picnic tables, and a perennial garden at the town's park. And whereas Everett worked closely with town staff and the Parks Committee to finalize a plan for the project. And whereas Everett has served in many leadership positions, including senior patrol leader, assistant senior patrol leader, quartermaster, librarian, patrol leader, and den chief. And whereas Everett's dedication to the Boy Scout oath while using his time and energy to give back to his community will serve to prepare him for a meaningful, productive role in society. And whereas Everett has also been a member of the Order of the Arrow, where he has held the positions of Catan Lodge Treasurer, Apparel Committee Chairman, as well as Vice Chief of Programs and Treasurer in Scouting's National Honor Society. And whereas Everett has also served as a camp instructor at the Camp Wapomani and has earned an impressive 52 merit badges during his scouting career and continues to be active through his recent membership in a venturing crew. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on behalf of the people of the town of Clifton Park, the entire town board does hereby congratulate and salute Everett Noakes on his achievement of the rank of Eagle Scout, and we are proud to have him as a member of our community.
Very good. I'll move that we approve the resolution with a second by the entire board. Okay, Teresa?
Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barry?
Yes. Mr. Noakes, come on up, sir. How you doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good, good, good. So, tell us about your, a little bit about your scouting journey and your project.
Okay, so when I was 5 years old, we moved up here from Florida. Same house we're in now, in Clifton Park, just a few miles down the road here off Barney. I joined the Cub Scout Pack. Was the very first thing we did after enrolling at Shen. I went to the Scano Elementary School and then Coda and High School East now as a senior. I progressed through Cub Scouts, just you sort of get pushed through. And then I became more interested in Boy Scouts when I joined Troop 42 out of the Corpus Christi Church off Route 9 in Round Lake. It was a very nice succession of 8 or 9 years so far since I joined the troop. About midway through, I joined the Order of the Arrow, Knox and EMAT chapter for the counties of Schenectady, Albany, and Saratoga, where I progressed through a few different positions there until I became a little more involved onto the lodge level. So we have 5 districts. I know many of you guys probably know Mr. Greg Sesney. I know he's pretty involved in the town as well. We represent, I think, around 15, 16 counties. I ran for this past year, second in charge of basically upstate scouting program, and I run in October for the lodge chief, which is first. I became more heavily involved in a lot of the Honor Society programs and a lot of the different stuff, whether it be with the town or the county in scouting, until pre-pandemic, that was the best part. I spoke with Mr. Barrett about doing a project for the town. I had a lot of different options to choose from, and I attended a few board meetings, met a few people, and I wanted to do something new that I haven't quite seen before. So I was talking to Mrs. McGinnis in one of the park committees of the town, and she recommended in addition to the Locust Lane pool right out front in the little parking area there, I did a 300-foot rope fence, a small perennial garden around the flagpole and the 2 benches there, and the 2 picnic benches that went on the inside of the perimeter of the pool. The best part, as I said, it was before the pandemic, so we did this in about October, November of 2019. It took around, since my birthday in March that year, to plan, but I was very glad, very fortunate to get it done. I know I worked with Mr. Bull, our highway superintendent, Mr. Barrett a lot, the Parks Committee with the town, and a lot of other people in scouting and small businesses from around the town and the county. So we had a few different minor issues, as you always find out in a project, construction-wise, planting-wise, but we got through it pretty strong. It was a great project in total, and I'm glad that we could see the plants coming back year after year now for 2 years, and the fence is still in good condition there, and I'm glad that everybody coming to see the pool coming to use the pool can definitely see that. And obviously more as we emerge out of the pandemic this next year, this next summer. So it was a great project and a wonderful experience meeting. I know I met Mrs. Standard along the way, Mrs. Wallowett, and a lot of the different town employees, Mr. Bull, and getting through the project sort of, I don't know if you could call it environmentally based, but in that realm, I always knew I wanted to do something with environmental law and policy, politics, so it definitely inspired me through getting the project done, the leadership, the financial part, and I have to say the best part was being able to meet a lot of the people in the town, which is, I still do stuff besides the project past that, so that was definitely the best part.
Oh, that's great. And you were very young when you did your project, right?
Yes, I was
2015, when I did the actual project.
Which, the project was impressive enough, but the fact that you were accomplishing it so early in the process, Eagle Scouts, people that are working toward their Eagle Scout have till their 18th birthday, but you didn't waste any time.
No,
You got right to it.
Yes, sorry about that. Yes.
And I know Dan Clemens and the Parks, Buildings and Grounds folks were
Yes.
also helpful to you. So.
Yes, very much. I wouldn't have been able to get it done without everybody in the town, many volunteers and donators, but it was definitely, it was a good project in total.
And we pared it down a little bit.
Yes, it was, I was gonna do a little bit more, but, you know, you always, it was my first project. I'm sure you guys have seen many, many projects, but the logistical sense and everything, but, the physical appearance still came out quite well, so I'm glad people can still utilize that.
Well, it was a pretty large project that you completed, but Everett had the idea that he wanted to do about double that. And we had a discussion and said, well, you know, I think you're taking on a large challenge here. Why don't we pare it down a little bit and work very. So. Thank you. Thank you for your commitment to scouting, to the community, and we're very proud of you.
Thank you.
Everett, what are your plans for next year?
I'm looking into some sort of environmental law policy type. I got to meet, very fortunate, I got to meet a lot of people through the Scouts, Mr. Barrett, Congresswoman Stefanik, Mr. Senator Steck, Senator Disco. And I've sort of moved into a political environmental sort of degree, something in that industry that I'd like to study in.
Do you have a college you're eyeing up yet, or a
A
whole bunch?
A whole bunch.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, Paul Smith's, ESF in Syracuse, SUNY Adirondack. So, yeah, stuff pertaining to that.
Very good. Well, Everett, again, we just want to thank you for the beautification efforts that you completed at the Locust Lane Pool grounds and everything else that you've done for the community, and I'm sure everything you will be doing in the future. You're very dedicated to the community and always looking to do new things to support our town. So thank you very much, and we have a little resolution here for you that we just approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so Everett is great to get to know him and his family as he began to think about a project and work towards completing it. And we're looking for big things for you in the future, my friend. We know that you'll excel because you work hard and you care about the community, and we appreciate that. All right, next up, American Recovery Act funding discussion. So I wanted to put this on the agenda so we can, you know, continue to discuss some of the items that have been bandied about. One thing I want to make clear first, which I don't think we have yet, Mark, is we actually received some additional funds. Not much compared to the.
Yes, we did. There were several municipalities in the state of New York that did not accept the funds. And so we ended up receiving about $15,000 more in total. So we got an additional check of $7,000 about a month ago. So,
Representing half.
correct.
Yeah.
So yes. So they adjusted our total allotment based on who did not take it. You had to make your intentions known by the beginning of May or beginning of July, I believe, as to whether or not you're going to accept it or not accept it.
Right. So So basically, there were quote-unquote extra funds because some are not partaking in the program, and those funds were reallocated to other communities. So, so again, we received half, which was $7,583.06. So we add that to the funding that's already been approved. We have received half of the original amount that was approved as the program was rolled out.
What's the reasons that municipalities would not accept the funds? Do we know?
I don't
Am I
know.
missing something? Or?
They don't really say who's accepting it and who's not accepting it. I know.
Was there some incentive to not accept it?
No, not that I know of.
No, there was. I mean, it could be. Maybe it's something. It's such that, and I don't know who it was. It's more along the lines of, you know, maybe it's not a lot of money. Maybe I don't know. I don't know the reason, but they reallocated it all, so to everyone.
Yeah, there's no incentive that I'm aware of to not accepting the funds or entering the program. I don't know. It was just a local decision. I don't know if there's a place where you can find who did not and who did.
I'm sure if you investigated the state controller's website, you probably could see.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I have a download of what the original allocation was, and I'm sure you can get a download as to what the allocation is right now. You know, but you know, like I said, several municipalities, and I don't remember how many they said didn't take it. So
yeah. So not sure about that, but you know, this could be obviously something they felt strongly about. Didn't want to be involved with the program. You know, I think you know, when it comes to printing this type of money and then sending it out to localities, I think there's some very good arguments why that might not be the best fiscal policy. But they're making the funds available, so it's a difficult decision in my mind to say that you're not going to accept those funds. I think that's a tough. It's tough to make that decision. Much easier decision to accept them, I would say. Even though, again, it might not be what some people would say is the best fiscal policy, or just the best overall policy for the federal government. But they're now talking about another $5 trillion over 2 other programs. So obviously the thirst for spending money over and above what the federal government has is not subsiding. So we'll see what happens from those discussions. And I just wanted to see if we can move this discussion forward a bit. As we just mentioned, we received half of those smaller amount of funds. We've originally received half of the larger amount. A year from now, we'll receive the other half.
correct.
So there's so we have a time frame in which the funds can be spent over the next few years. I think there's been, well, I think a lot of the discussion is centered around infrastructure so far, between town board and the working group that we've had one meeting there. Based on the, and also help for our nonprofits as the pandemic continues to affect our communities and certainly our nonprofits and fundraising opportunities. That's been another idea that's been discussed. Right now, based on timing and as we enter into the fall, which unfortunately leads to winter, a couple of items in particular, I think would be of importance in the short term to move forward. We've talked about short-term and longer-term opportunities for this funding. We've talked about stormwater projects, a number of those, sewer investments, our share of the cost of the pond at exit 9 that will be at some point fairly soon will be something that's our responsibility, and some other other items that are or the gas. I don't want to forget the gas pumps. We talked about that from the beginning. As a matter of fact, there was some engineering estimates that you were able to get, John?
Yes, sir.
So tell us a little bit about that, if you mind.
Yes, one of the things I looked at is, and appreciate town staff that assisted, we can't do design build on this project. DOT has the ability to do that. Local government doesn't, so we do have to solicit services from an engineering firm to look at the scope, develop a bid spec, put it out to bid, review and certify the bids, make a recommendation to the town board, and then based on the bids, once the bid's awarded, we would look to potentially engage the selected firm with construction inspection and oversight to make sure it's constructed per the plans as engineered and designed. Looking at costs, I reached out to one firm that came in the mid 50s. I verbally consulted with 2 additional firms who said job will probably going to be in the same ballpark. Fuel tanks are something that we don't do every day. The firm that did provide a quote has experience with replacing 3 fuel stations in Hamilton County and doing a consolidated fuel plan for the county and local municipalities out there. So this is much less in terms of size and scale than what their previous experience was, but it would be the same project staff from that engineering firm, so I provided that quote, potential recommended service.
And that includes all remediation necessary, right?
Yes, the tanks are in good standing. We're not anticipating any need for any remediation, but there would be soils investigations that clearance tests have to be done for DEC, so that does include
So
that.
they check all that.
Correct, as a contingency.
Hey Tony, we have to run tests every day on them, and the minute one of our tests comes back negative, we have to shut things down and do an investigation. And fortunately, to this point, we haven't had ones where we don't have an answer to it. We don't have an answer to why the alarms are going off and how we can reset those. That's when you have a real problem. But we've been very fortunate that the tanks are so far in the shape that they're maintaining their interstitial pressures and seams.
So you think you have minimal remediation?
I would think so, yeah.
Do you think it would be prudent to get a couple more?
I think based on the conversations, we're going to be in the same range, $55,000 to $57,000 for engineering services.
And the very rough estimate out there is what, $500,000?
Correct.
That's rough. That's before anything's been tested or reviewed or anything like that. So, not a small number. Okay. And you said they have, LaBerge has experience?
They have experience with fuel tank replacement at the municipal level. New facility designs.
Okay. All right. So, some time ago, I did send a draft application to the town board about a program for nonprofits. Kind of use the Community Action Fund as a guide, although the Community Action Fund would be a much smaller number than what would be proposed for this nonprofit program. We also had a number of projects from Highway that involved stormwater. And Mike O'Brien, who has training class that he's at tonight, so he couldn't be here. But he has provided information, to us from the beginning of the process that there's generators that he would like to get installed in 2 systems. So personally, those are the areas that I'd like to center the discussion. Certainly open for any other suggestions or discussion points. But I think the nonprofit program, stormwater projects, and the generators for the sewer systems heading into winter are very good investments. Roughly, if you add all that up, 200 for the nonprofit program, 350 for stormwater, 450 for sewer, as I'm proposing. That's roughly a quarter of the funds that we would receive through the program. If we also wanted to consider, because I think moving forward is expeditiously on the gas pumps would be a good idea, if we did want to consider also allocating a certain amount of dollars for engineering. Maybe, I don't know, John, maybe up to $60,000 based on maybe getting a couple more quotes.
Be glad to do that.
Makes sense?
Absolutely.
If you think it'll be under 60, if we just say, within 60, because if we have a very good company here with a good strong proposal that's under 60, then I think that's a pretty good number, I would say. So we certainly could move that project along, utilizing recovery money funds to at least get the engineering going. Then I would expect, Dan, John, maybe if we did that, spring construction season, we'd be ready.
I think that is a realistic schedule. We're probably looking at 3 to 4 months from start to finish before we could go out to bid with a package.
Yeah, so figure spring, latest summer, but at least we get it, if we can get it bid out over the winter, I think that would be a good idea. So that's another possibility as far as these funds are concerned, that I think would be a good short-term investment. I'll open it up for discussion.
I just have a question. What is the pond you mentioned? What is that, the pond?
At exit 9, there's it's the pond next to the skate park along Clifton Country Road. And we're working with DEC now, or have been working with DEC for quite some time, really, to do improvements for that. We've done some improvements in stormwater along that corridor, but is there anything new to report that you know of, John?
I'll just mention, I got a map up there showing our tap project for a different resolution, but it shows the pond there. Half the pond is owned by an adjacent property owner that's private, but the other half is part of the town. It's a responsibility and owned by the town, so the property boundary goes right through the center of that pond. So and it does convey stormwater from, I would say, all the way over from Home Depot and Half Moon, comes under the Target parking lot area under I-87, collects additional runoff from I-87, and it all ends up through this corridor that goes to a stream channel that ultimately crosses under Clifton Park Center Road, links up with the Barney Road pond system out to the Stony Creek Reservoir, which ultimately gets to the Mohawk River. So it's a water quality improvement. That upstream, this is the tributaries, ultimately to improve the water quality of the Barney Road pond area, Stony Creek Reservoir, and ultimately Mohawk River.
Yeah, so
What is the estimated
go ahead.
cost of that?
Of that, what Scott was saying, about 100,000, right? I mean,
I
that's
believe
the
so.
number that I've had, yeah.
Right, and that's part of the problem, is that the one that keeps overflowing on Clifton?
It has.
Correct, yes.
Several times during
Yes.
very heavy storms.
What we're looking to do is really do some improvements to the drainage structure at the pond location, and then some ditch line work to improve the water flow through that area.
Okay, I have one other, the not-for-profits. I wondered if you considered any county programs that also serve the town of Culver Park. There's, the county has a lot of drug programs, both educational and enforcement and things that I think might be very important in our town. And, you know, rather than narrowing it just to the not-for-profits here in town, you might think of some of the organizations of the county too. The county does a lot for veterans, and maybe, you know, there's something we can take part there in domestic violence services that are served in the county that maybe could do some educational on some programs here in our town, rather than just the local not-for-profits.
Sure.
I mean, I would just piggyback on that comment. I think I like the program because I think it does, you know, there's the intent behind the funds. You know, obviously infrastructure's some of the things we can use it for, and we'll put a lot of it. But the intent is, you know, what's been affected by the pandemic. So I think getting some money, you know, into the community would be great, whether it be a town-based agency or a county-based agency. You know, obviously veterans and domestic violence and, you know, drug rehabilitation, all those I think would be great options. I think, Mr. Supervisor, I think your application, do we have to maybe expand it to, or is it limited to just town now? I remember looking at it, I guess. Maybe tweak the language a little.
Yeah, sure, we can certainly tweak it. The third bullet says applications will be accepted from nonprofit entities only. Applicants must be organizations based in Clifton Park, have an affiliate or branch located in Clifton Park, or serve Clifton Park residents directly. So there's not a strict rule that they have to be based here, but at the very least, they have to be able to demonstrate that they serve
to our residents.
Yeah, they serve residents directly. So there is some room there, I think. But if there's other suggestions, I'm open.
So I really like that program. I like the nonprofits that you were just mentioning, which I think would clearly fall under that. And I guess there probably is some sort of subcommittee that would review those applications.
Well, I would say that the town board should be that subcommittee, and make it an open process, so that way everybody can see, you know, from the very beginning, the applications that have come in. Not that we ever keep that kind of thing secret, but anyway, they can see applications as they come in, and also sit in on the discussions. Sometimes it might be necessary or something that the town board may suggest, that applicants attend the meeting to discuss further. You know, maybe make a presentation to the board as far as how they want to use the money and timetable. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head what we might be interested in as far as the grant applications are concerned. So there's, you know, I'm sure there'll be general questions and discussion that the town board would be interested in. So having those discussions, probably not at a town board meeting, but, you know, at a different noticed meeting here on a different night would probably make more sense. But in either case, it would be an open meeting where we would invite the applicants and anybody else that wanted to speak on behalf of an applicant. You know, that's another possibility. So.
What's the time frame of that? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, how many months out? Because you have to spend this half of the money by a certain time too, right?
No. We have a fair amount of time to spend the money. Even though we have it, we don't need to spend it right away.
Okay.
Right. You know, you can really set that timetable to whatever.
I'm just thinking, like, if organizations are listening right now and they're really excited and they want to apply, like, what do they do? What's the time frame?
Well, and when I just put this together as a draft, but applications must be received by September 20, obviously, that's today, so that's fine. And funding for awards will be announced no later than October 30. Maybe it's something we ask people to submit by November 1st, November 15th, somewhere in that time frame, and then make the awards either the end of the year or early next year. You know, I think that's doable.
I think the question is, if we pass a resolution, and maybe this is more for Tom, if we pass a resolution to fund nonprofits, and we say, let's say it's 200,000, does that money then get allocated as out of the rescue fund bucket and now in the Clifton Park bucket?
I don't know, Mark, would you move it to a separate account? I mean, it depends on however the board wants to structure it.
Right, I mean, it's segregated right now, or earning interest right now. I mean, we could use the current GL system to account for if it's going to be put over, you know, if we're using ARPA funds or not ARPA funds. Okay, I know I can do that. So.
So it would be however you want to do it, but I would think the easiest way would just be to put a dollar figure on the parts of the program that you want funded, so that, you know, that's in the resolution that the applicants can count on. That's the total dollar amount, and I don't think you need to do more than that. Like Mark's accounts are all just sub accounts. It's not a separate capital fund that you would set up inside that ARPA money, right?
Right, no, it's more, I envision this really general fund.
Right.
General fund expenditures, I mean, and we recognize the revenue as we expend it, so, you know, it's, to set up a separate account, it's not really.
Yeah, you don't really need to do that.
No, it pretty much, I have a separate account for the Community Action Fund. It's just, that works there. It goes into, you know, the deposits get deposited throughout the year, so we know exactly how much money we're going to have on that one, because it's not a specific, you know, there's not a underlying money outside of that. Okay, this we know we've got the finite dollar amount as to what we can spend in total, and it's up to the board to decide how to spend it.
So just looking at the calendar real quick. you know, if it is something that we move forward with tonight, you know, perhaps November 8th would afford enough time for organizations to submit an application. I mean, we're going to keep the applications short and easy to complete, just as we have with our other grant programs. So, if there was a November 8th deadline, and then perhaps make the awards on, well, December 20th? Right, Richard? Let's see, that's really short.
Yeah, that, you
Yeah,
know,
that's-
essentially, yeah, that's.
So maybe we
seems
look
very
at next
fast.
year, so.
I think I'd like to look at the specifics on the applications and what would qualify an organization for the nonprofits. I think it should be different from the Community Action Fund, so I just feel like that would be moving a little bit too quickly. I think we should spend a little bit more time from that. Maybe get something in writing that we could all look at and agree on. I don't disagree with nonprofits getting a share of this, but I think we should look at changing the parameters, so to speak, from how we normally fund our nonprofit groups. I'd like to spend a little bit more time with that. I'm not ready to make that decision tonight.
So what do you think would be, would make sense? I mean, the one line is, please specify how the grant will be used, project, equipment, initiative, etc.
And each round that applies will be presented to us, or no, not necessarily?
Yeah, I think that would make sense, you know.
Maybe we don't
To
get a
have that
deadline.
backup.
Maybe we don't make a deadline, maybe we make it rolling. So as the applications come in, we review them.
Well, yeah, but it depends on how many we get, though. I mean, if we do get, I think having a set time frame probably would be preferable, at least in my estimation. So we basically asked them to specify how the grant will be used, the amount requested, the organization's mission and purpose, contact information, estimated date of use of the funds, so that gives us a timeline as to when they would be used. Give them an opportunity to add additional information or background. So that's, again, I think that collects a fair amount of information, but also doesn't make it onerous for an organization that, you know, a lot of the nonprofits in town or that serve the town don't have big staffs to fill out grant applications. So keeping it easy, but yet collecting the important information is important.
So we would be opening this up to all nonprofits?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I wasn't clear. Because there's a huge difference between some nonprofits and other nonprofits. Huge difference, for instance, the Jonesville Food Pantry versus the Green Committee. Well, that's not a nonprofit. But the point is, I think that there are some, you know, Jonesville Food Pantry closed. They closed their doors. I'm sure that they took a significant hit as a result. Captain picked up the pieces. I'm not quite sure that every single nonprofit in town necessarily suffered as a result of the pandemic. Maybe they have, maybe I'm wrong. But I just think that we should come up with some parameters, making it not a necessarily difficult or a challenge for other people, for organizations to apply for this grant money. but come up with some sort of parameters for them to follow so that not every single nonprofit is trying to get a piece of this. So I think that's something that we should spend a little bit more time with. I'd like to see that. And how maybe specify in their application process, how were they negatively impacted by the pandemic? We know how Captain was negatively impacted, whether they apply or not, I'm not quite sure. We know how, well, we have an idea of how Jonesville Food Pantry was impacted. But I'm not quite sure that all nonprofits were impacted the same. So I think that we should try and direct the efforts towards specifying, maybe define it a little bit better on who it would be eligible for these applications, that's all.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's difficult to do. I mean, I think that's part of the case that they make. We've been negatively affected by the pandemic in the following ways. So I think that would be part of their pitch that would make their submission that much stronger. Now we can add something. We can add something in here. First page has overview and application criteria for applicants. And it begins, the town of Clifton Park is currently offering an opportunity for community nonprofit organizations who are negatively affected by the pandemic and continue to experience challenges to apply for funding to support programs and projects that result in tangible benefit to Clifton Park and its residents. Please review the following criteria, and then it gives some criteria here. So, I think we've got a document that does account for that and does push them in that direction of, were you negatively affected and what challenges did you experience?
Okay.
I mean, we can make it a little more forceful, perhaps.
Or maybe just something that's a little more data driven, I think, as well. Or objective. So you gotta come to us with some sort of data that shows where you were before pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. Show us something, maybe whether it's fiscal or, maybe it's they rely on contributions or something along those lines.
Well, to Amy's point, because if you don't put parameters, something to that effect, you're gonna get 5,000 applications.
Oh, agree.
Right, yeah.
Oh, I expect we'll get a fair amount,
Yeah.
but community
If you
nonprofit.
apply for community action plan, can you also apply for this?
Yeah, I think there's such a large difference in the numbers that, I mean, we could say that you can't, but I don't know. I don't think you'll have a lot of overlap there to begin with.
So I would imagine it would have to be a 501c3, or I mean, a bona fide, identified, so like the Green Committee, who did request or submit an application the last time for community action funds. They're not a nonprofit group.
Right.
Right, so I don't think that they should be eligible to submit an application for these ARPA funds.
Well, they wouldn't based on how it's written now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. I was just wanted clarification.
So that'll be out.
The way it's written now, again, offering an opportunity to community nonprofit organizations who are negatively affected by the pandemic and continue to experience challenges to apply for funding. So, so that they would not be able to, as it's worded. Now, the point you're making about being able to quantify negative effects of the pandemic on the organization, if they can't quantify it based on how this is written,
Then we rule it out.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't think they got much of a shot,
Yeah. No, that's a good point, but to Councilwoman Flood's point about having a huge influx of applications for us to
Yeah.
get. I mean, it would be something that I think we would enjoy doing in a sense, but not 5,000. But no, I understand that there would be that conversation, and we would have those parameters to look at when we make our decisions. But I just want to make sure that we don't have, too many disappointments. We have so many nonprofits in town. Just want to make sure that our parameters are crystal clear for folks. So, because I imagine there's going to be a lot.
Yeah, I would think so. We did, again, it says in the draft, funding requests should not exceed a maximum of 10,000. Now, with the Community Action Fund, for instance, people ask for a certain amount, and, we like to help everybody, so many times they receive less than what they actually requested, but we try to keep it as high as possible while helping everybody. So,
Do we know how many nonprofits there are in town?
I don't know the number offhand, but
That's a scary number.
there's
I can tell
a
you
good
that's a
number.
scary number.
There's
There's probably hundreds,
Yeah, hundreds of millions.
because it's not just a 501c3, there's a
There's
whole
other
plethora of 501c,
But the
clubs and organizations.
The statute itself, limits the type of nonprofits that can.
Does, okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Well, why don't you?
I don't have the definition. It says that the nonprofits are, those that are defined in paragraph 17 of a federal statute that I.
Page 3,214,
Yes.
section Z.
42 USA 1136017. I didn't print that for tonight's meeting, but, we got it by that.
So I think based on how the draft is worded, it does, answer, some very valid concerns and ideas. What we could do is say commit to the program, but perhaps there are some changes that we'd like to make on the draft, and we can socialize that and talk about it moving forward.
Okay.
So we could do that. That's another option.
I would prefer.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because we just put a caveat on the application that this may be updated as the program continues, so if we learn things along the way that we feel free that we can tweak it, or would that be?
We might have to reapply.
Well, that's, I understand what you're saying. Maybe that could be part of the discussion, Councilman Morelli, as far as we dig down a little deeper on the draft. So that's an option that we can take as well. So I'm sure there's some good tweaks we can make here. Any more questions?
Yeah, just one
Yes.
quick question. When did you send us the draft? Because I don't remember receiving that.
I don't have the.
I just have.
Did you resend it?
Yeah,
I
sure.
can't find it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I don't have the date, but yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I just, yeah.
Yep.
I just don't have it.
728.
Oh, okay.
7/20.
Oh, yeah, I have it. Thank you.
I have another question.
Sure.
One of the things I think in the rules, was listed as supplies. And I see that, software, for the staff did not make the list. And I wondered if that would fit in, maybe have more pandemic related than the pond. Or if that's waiting for budget time.
No, basically, it was part of our discussions, but I don't think we've reached the point of having a replacement for the system that Steve is working with. Is that correct? I think that's what we're waiting for. Steve's not here tonight, but.
We actually, we solicited the RFPs. We received 15 proposals.
Right.
The scoring rubric was distributed today to the reviewers with the deadline by next Wednesday to get the scoring rubric back to planning staff to calculate the results.
So when we have that information, I would definitely support using ARPA money to make that happen, because that is eligible use. But they're just not quite there yet. How much longer, John, do you think?
For the software?
Well, until we get to a decision.
I think by Wednesday we'll have the scoring back. We'll see if there's a clear winner. We may want to do short list interviews, which will probably take an additional 10 days. So I'm saying, by August 14th, or I'm sorry, October 14th. October 14th is a realistic date at this point, I would say, to schedule any short-term. Obviously, if we have it sooner, definitely, but I would say the 14th is very realistic to accomplish it.
So it would make sense that we can expect that can be something to consider for next month.
Yes,
Maybe
sir.
maybe the last meeting of next month.
This is specific to code enforcement, that software?
It's planning and zoning and building permit software. So we've had a legacy software since 2006 Municity. We've been notified in 2022 it'll no longer be supported. They are one of the vendors that did submit with the RFP with a new software version of Municity that's cloud-based. But once you go to an unsupported software, that's when you don't get security updates anymore. So the best practice for businesses is once you're on a system no longer supported to stop using it.
Okay. All right.
When we get this together, can we put together some grand total that you've come up with compared to what we've already received? So you see where it's at, because we're throwing a lot of numbers around tonight. So I kind of like to put it all together.
Yeah, so what I'm proposing tonight is $1 million between the three. If we consider the engineering for the gas pumps, that would be another 60. We received half of the total amount that we were allotted, so 1.8. What is it, Mark? I don't have that in front of me. 1.8 something plus the 7,500.
It is over $1.8 million.
Yeah. So roughly, well, it'll be a little over half. Now we get the other half of the money a year from when we receive the first half. So next summer, we'll receive the second half.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Any other discussion on any of these items? So with that being said, if those 4 items are agreeable at this time, That would be $1,060,000 on $200,000 for the nonprofit funding, but that is obviously, we have not set it, just to be clear, we haven't set a timetable as far as when applications should be submitted or will be awarded. We're going to do some more work on the application. But as soon as we have something concrete, we'll get that out to the community. And actually, this is probably a better way to do it anyway, because that way we get the word out that it will happen so people can prepare. The stormwater projects, $350,000, and the generators for the 2 sewer systems, $450,000, and then up to $60,000 for the engineering. And John, and that would be based on the fact that you're going to procure a couple more proposals, right?
Correct.
And when you get those, if you could share all the proposals with the town board and and feel free to state your knowledge of each group's experience working in that area and pluses and minuses of each.
Yes, sir.
So, Phil, the 1.6 million does not include the planning software, right? That eventually,
Right.
That's not worked in yet, and the pond, right? It's not
Right.
worked. Okay.
Right.
I just wanted to be clear.
Yep. The pond, like I said, that's still, DEC hasn't, gotten to the point where they're approving a plan or ready to move forward. I think but we know the bill's coming at some point. The software that we just spoke about, from what we're hearing tonight, by the last meeting in October, we should be able to make a decision on that. The committee is doing their scoring.
Was there a ballpark that you could throw out on that?
There is, I would say, the range of, the median was about 170,000, but that was 3 years total cost. So I would say you're probably looking at 120,000 to $80,000 for initial 1-year startup cost. Based on the number of licenses, we asked to see what the cost would be 3 years out. Some of the firms were 25,000 annual license. We pay an annual fee now for Municity. So it's cloud-based, so you get updates forever. Now you don't have to worry about the software, becoming a legacy product. But I would say 80,000 to 120,000 with the initial startup for 1 year to just buy the software, include the first year of licensing, and migrate from Municity over to either a new platform of Municity or one of the other software platforms that responded.
Okay. So that gives us a ballpark, and that bill comes. Always a bill around the corner, right? All right. Well, if there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to move that forward as part of the ARPA funding, those 4 items. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Discussion.
Can you clarify
Yeah.
what this action is? I'm not quite sure. I mean, I don't,
The-
just on what we just discussed, we're not,
Yeah, the four I listed, the nonprofit grant funding program at 200,000, but that is, but we will continue to work on the application, so we'll socialize the application for ideas to make adjustments. 350,000 for highway and stormwater projects, several of those. Sewer, new generators that Mike has as a top priority for the 2 systems, and up to $60,000 for the engineering on the gas tanks.
So I would like to make a motion to table this because I'm not prepared to vote on something where I don't have all the details in a resolution. The public hasn't been notified. There's been very, little conversation as far as the public is concerned. I want to see I want to see the supporting documentation. I want to be able to have everything in front of me. I want to have that nonprofit wording finalized so that nothing has changed in the future. So again, I move that we table this.
I'm going to second that. I think, we're waiting on bids, and there's just too many things left up in the air right now. And I thought this was going to be a discussion, and that we weren't really going to make final decisions about it.
Yeah, me too. I was not ready for that.
Okay, very good. Teresa?
I think, so are we
I
voting
think
on my
we have
motion?
to the
Vote
table.
on the first one, because it's been moved and seconded.
I think it's about
No, I one on the
No.
table.
council.
The table.
So we vote on the table?
Yep.
Okay. And Amy moved it, Linda seconded it. Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Muller?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes. Okay, we have a few resolutions for consideration. Teresa, if you'd like to read through those, please.
A resolution authorizing town planning staff to prepare a 2021-2022 Transportation Alternatives Program TAP grant application for improved sidewalks connections along Clifton Country Road, whereas the planning department advises that the 2021-2022 TAP grant applications are now open and will close on Wednesday, September 29th, 2021, and whereas the town board has adopted and updated the town center plan, which supports and improves pedestrian accommodations on the east and west sides of Clifton Country Road from the Route 146 intersection south to the Clifton Park Center Road intersection. And whereas the town board wishes to advance the project by directing the planning staff to make the grant application and by committing to match a portion of the proposed TAP Clifton Country Road project cost as required. And whereas the proposed sidewalk route complements pedestrian and cyclist safety improvements along Clifton Country Road, currently under construction pursuant to resolution number 193 of 2021, with funding assistance from the State Pedestrians Safety Action Plan. And whereas the action of constructing sidewalks in an unlisted action under Part 617.5 of Article 8 of New York State Environmental Conservation Law, the state's environmental quality review regulations, therefore necessitating a determination of significance once detailed design plans have been prepared for the construction of the sidewalk trail connections. And whereas an engineer's estimate provided by Green & Pearson Incorporated anticipates the project total cost of $2,281,000 now, therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the planning staff and town supervisor to complete and submit the 2021-2022 TAP grant application for the above referenced project, and be it further resolved that the town board hereby commits $500,000 in local cash matching funds upon grant award notifications, which is an overcommitment beyond the 20% local matching funds requirement. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor and planning director are authorized to execute and file an application with the New York State DOT for the 2021-2022 Transportation Alternatives Program for the TAP Clifton Country Road project. A resolution authorizing change orders to the awarded contract with Carver Construction for the replacement of box culverts on Pike Road and Naga Road. Whereas resolution number 159 of 2021, the town board authorized the replacement of box culverts near the intersection of Pike and Naga Roads by Carver Construction Incorporated. And whereas Carver Construction has submitted a change order for changes to the project, resulting in an overall reduction in the total cost of the project. And whereas consulting engineers Barton and Judas recommended that the town authorize the change orders after the need to adjust the scope of the project became apparent after repairs were commenced. Now therefore be it resolved, the change orders consisting of a reduction of $150,000 $145, the amount of the directional drilling contract number 2 for the project costs, and the addition of $54,082 to contract number 1 for 5 separate changes to the original contracts are approved as follows. Water line change order, an adjustment to the approach at which the water line was constructed. This was approved by the Clifton Park Water Authority Engineering Board and installed by Carver in accordance with the changes, and that's $42,118. Additional excavation to remove the existing drainage pipe found to be larger than anticipated, and that's $6,105. Additional stone backfill to fill in the void of the larger pipe, $3,292. Additional concrete around and under the sewer crossing due to the existing sewer being higher in elevation than what our survey showed, $448. Precast concrete box culvert manipulation to fit around the existing sewer, which was higher in elevation than what our survey showed, and that's an additional $2,118. And be it further resolved that the change order number 1 for additional labor and materials resulting in a decrease overall of $100,807.45 to the original project for the culvert replacement project at the intersection of Pike and Naga roads is approved, and be it further resolved that Dan Bull, Highway Superintendent, is authorized to accept the attached application and certificate for payment from Carver Construction Incorporated for 94 Western Turnpike, Altamont, New York, at a total cost not to exceed $317,515.72 to be paid from Capital Projects 2016 Drainage Fund Drainage Repair Equipment. A resolution authorizing an agreement with J&J Super Seal LLC for a hot pour mastic program for the highway repair purposes for an existing contract with Monroe County. Whereas Highway Superintendent Dan Bull has recommended the retention of a hot mastic seal contractor to provide crack sealing capacity to the department. And whereas pursuant to General Municipal Law Section 103(16), municipalities are authorized to procure goods or services through publicly bid contracts of another county or municipality within the state on terms and conditions consistent with the original contract. And whereas Highway Superintendent Dan Bull recommends the retention of J&J Super Seal, Rexford, New York, through a Monroe County contract achieved through a bona fide competitive process. Now therefore be it resolved that the Highway Department is authorized to retain J&J Super Seal LLC, 24 Knott Road, Rexford, New York, for hot pour mastic applications under Monroe County contract number 0904-19 attached per the price sheet on page 9 through April 30th, 2022 to be paid from Highway Fund, Highway Construction, Paving, and Slip Lining. A resolution to retain Prime AE Group of New York for professional engineering services relating to the immediate storage needs of the Clifton Park Highway Department. Whereas on August 17, 2021, the Clifton Park Highway Department had an accidental fire that caused severe damage to the facility, known locally as the White Building. And whereas the White Building housed various pieces of equipment and machinery, as well as 7 days for plow trucks over the winter months, and whereas it was resolved there was an immediate need to design and construct temporary structures in order to provide cover and protection for the elements to the Highway Department, plow trucks, and related equipment. And whereas Prime AE Group of New York will produce a scope of work and oversee the construction of structures that will protect plow trucks and equipment from winter weather. And whereas pursuant to resolution number 1 of 2021, the town is authorized to enter into a contract with an engineering and professional consulting firm subject to legal review by the town attorney's office. And whereas the Prime AE Group estimates that design and engineering services for the structure will not exceed $20,000. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board authorizes the hiring of Prime AE Group of New York to assist the Highway Department in planning and design of structures for the Highway Department for the 2021-22 winter season. And therefore, and be it further resolved that the town superintendent of highways is authorized to sign an agreement with Prime AE Group of New York for professional consulting services not to exceed $20,000, and be it further resolved that the comptroller is authorized to transfer $20,000 from undesignated fund balance to general fund highway garage engineering.
All set, Teresa?
Yes.
Any questions on the job?
No, sir.
All right. You could read the headings, Teresa, please.
Resolution number 222 of 2021, a resolution authorizing town planning staff to prepare a 2021-22 Transportation Alternatives Program TAP grant application for improved sidewalk connections along Clifton Country Road.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mrs. Flood. We continue to make great strides in the exit, well, throughout the town, but in the exit 9 area with our PSAP program, which is under construction. And this possibility here, John, if you could detail this for us.
Yes, the Transportation Alternatives Program for this year is going to be due a week from this Wednesday. On the board there, I have a map showing Clifton Country Road. The area in green and yellow are existing sidewalks and multi-use paths that have been recently upgraded in the vicinity of the Hannaford Shopping Plaza along Clifton Country Road. Basically, everything else, whether it's purple or red, red is non-existent, purple is sidewalk and or multi-use path areas that need to be upgraded and are in need of repair. So what we're proposing is 2,200 linear feet of concrete sidewalk to build upon the existing green and yellow shown there that's in front of the Hannaford Plaza to basically connect on both sides of Clifton Country Road, north and south, from 146 pedestrian connections down to the Clifton Country Road intersection.
Very good. The upgrades that are underway at several areas that provide pedestrian access in the exit 9 area are going to be huge addition.
Yeah. And I do show those upgrades on the map. It's hard to see from where you are, but if you're interested in going up to it later, you can see the actual intersection improvements with countdown ped signals. Enhanced crosswalks are also shown. So this will complement those pedestrian safety action improvements which have gone to construction.
Yep. So this would be another great complement and progress in that area. All right, very good. Any questions for John? Okay, Teresa.
Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard? Yes. Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 223 of 2021, a resolution authorizing change orders to the awarded contract with Carver Construction for the replacement of box culverts on Pike Road and Naga Road.
So moved. Second.
By Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Wallowitz. Great to finally get these projects completed. A lot of happy residents in both areas. This is a change order to as a reduction. Any details to add here, Dan?
Yep, just so everyone's aware, when we first passed the original plan, the work that was going to be done for the Water Authority was much larger than the scope that the Water Authority had worked on. People may remember a water main break from 2017 at that location. The Water Authority went out and checked over and found ways to do a better job there. They went out with about $120,000, that bid was. As we know, as years progress, material gets more, labor costs more. So we went out to bid with our two projects together, hoping that the cost would be reduced because, projects scale and whatnot, but it did not work that way. So after the passing of the first plan, we went back to the Water Authority, we all went back to the table. They came up with a new plan that they believe will work. They worked with their engineers, our engineers, everyone was pretty happy with that, and we got that done. So the big change is the $150,000 to the drop to $42,000. I think everyone's pretty happy with the changes that happened there. The other 4 points have to do with our excavation and our materials. We're working in live streams, and one of the problems that we had when we were working in July and August being some of the rainiest times that we've had in like 150 years. They would do work on one day and it would rain all night and wash everything out the next day. So we had many occasions to go back and have to redo the work we did the day before because things got washed away. Another issue was we went and measured out a 3-foot pipe on Nadler Road. It was not a 3-foot pipe. It was actually a 6-foot diameter pipe. The age of the pipe had actually crushed it down to 3 feet. So when they removed it, it created a larger void than they had done the mat for. Instead of they did a 3-foot pipe instead of a 6-foot pipe. And then that being so, the pipe was actually a little taller than we thought it was. The sewer line, instead of going straight across like a gravity main should, it went up and over the pipe into the culvert. So when they placed the culvert, they had to cut the bottom of the culvert out and build a ramp and then another cement slab over the sewer line. So again, a lot of times you don't get to see what's really underground until you start digging, and that's what changes.
Okay, Teresa?
Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 224 of 2021, a resolution authorizing agreement with J&J Super Seal LLC for a hot core massivity program for highway repair purposes from the existing contract with Monroe County.
So
Second.
by Mr. Morelli, second by Ms. Wallowitz. Dan?
Yep, so Mastix is not necessarily new to the world, but it's new to us. We're always looking at ways to increase the number of tools in our toolbox. Mastix is one of them. And we're very fortunate that we have a company right here in town, right out of Rexford, J&J Super Seal LLC. They do a lot of work with they do a lot of work with the mall, with Windsor, with DCG, with Price Chopper. So we had a chance to go over and take a look at what they're doing for crack sealing and for pothole filling. And we'd like to hire them to do a few jobs for us to see if it's a process and a practice that we would like to implement more regularly.
All right. Any questions? Teresa?
Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 225 of 2021, a resolution to retain Prime AE Group of New York for professional engineering services related to the immediate storage needs of the Clinton Park Highway Department. So moved. Second.
By Mrs. Standard, second by Mrs. Flood. We do have some immediate needs. What do we got here, Dan?
So actually, I was just talking with our insurance adjusters today. The gentleman who's doing the insurance company side of the construction and remediation assessment for the building is just asking today for some additional pictures. So I think he's coming to the very end of his investigation. It's been a month. We're hoping it really comes back soon. But in the meantime, we're not going to be repairing that building. We're not going to be rebuilding that building anytime soon. So we need to figure out how to get our plow trucks, especially, under cover for the winter. I mean, when the snow's flying, we don't want to be out there scraping our windows and cleaning snow off the top of our plow trucks when you want to have us out there on the roads. So we're going to work with Prime Engineering, and I talked to Jeff Treziak. He's come up with a few ideas already, but I'd like to contract with him through this $20,000 to start the process rolling, because whatever has to happen quickly. Last year, our first snow was October 29th. Our first time out actually plowing was November 12th. So those two dates are not too far away.
Yep, no doubt about that, unfortunately, but true. Any questions? Okay, Teresa?
Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard? Yes. Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes. Any other business come before the board this evening?
I just have a quick one.
Yeah.
The presentation last week by EDP on the park was informative and exciting to me, and I'm not sure what we need to do as a board to move that forward. I'm not sure the other board members' thoughts on that, but I am definitely interested in kind of pushing that along if that's something everyone else is. I mean, I'm not looking to pass a resolution tonight, but I don't know what everyone else's thought is on that.
Yeah, I really like the plan, and everybody that I spoke to and from what I was able to gather from the people that were here, that were very interested in the park from beginning to now, the reviews were very positive. So there's a tremendous amount of people that are keeping an eye on that project because they were involved in the acquisition process through the referendum, right up through the comprehensive planning process we completed and up till now. So yeah, it definitely has a lot of interest, and making a commitment to the park in that first phase sooner than later, I think would be a good idea. So, thank you.
I love the plan. I thought EDP did a great job. Phase one is definitely very exciting, and I'm looking forward to that getting started.
Okay. John, did you have anything to?
No, sir.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Second.
Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard? Yes. Councilmember Rowan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walloway? Supervisor Barrett?
Yes. Thank you.
I know. And this is. It'll be limping.